Hey lambs, Kai here, back for another Kai Rants. Sorry I didn't make it in time for East Coast commute time, but I'm still here. It's just been a really busy day for me. So before we begin, I always want to remind you that this segment is brought to you by my lamb Patreon, www.patreon.com/Love and Murder. If you want to be a supporter of Love and Murder podcast, then go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon. You get a lot of bonuses for your donation. But I'm not going to go into this here. This is a rant. Let's get into it. On August 7th, a 21-year-old engineering student named Angelina Tran tried to protect her mother from abuse at the hands of her stepfather, only to be met with a horrific end. Angelina Tran, described as a, quote, incredible daughter, a cherished friend, and above all, a perfect girlfriend, who, quote, excelled in her study with just one more year remaining at the University of Washington, end quote, became her mom's hero in her final moments. On the morning of August 7th, 2023, she awoke to the sound of a scuffle. She jumped out of bed to see what was going on, basically, and saw her stepfather, 54-year-old, I don't know how to say this, Ngiep, Nip Kin Chow. I don't know how to say the first name, but if you speak Vietnamese, go ahead, shoot me an SOS to correct me on that name. Anyway, we're going to call him Chow. She awoke to find her 54-year-old stepfather, Chow, repeatedly assaulting her mother. Basically, what he was doing was punching her in the head and face, quote, about 15 times. Horrified and determined to protect her mother, Angelina rushed to intervene. That's a good daughter. That's a good child, period. At around 4:55 a.m., Seattle police arrived at the scene at 31st Avenue South in Beacon Hill. When they got there and entered the premises, they were met with Chow walking down the stairs holding a, quote, large, bloody, fixed-blade, kitchen-style knife, which he dropped when he was ordered to do so by officers, end quote. Wow. He was coming down the stairs with the bloody knife in his hand. Once they secured Chow, police went about looking around the house. This is when they found the, quote, stabbed and obviously deceased body of Angelina lying on her back on the floor in the kitchen. Chow was arrested and read his Miranda rights through a translator. Chow, through the same translator, admitted what he'd done. As he was being handcuffed, he allegedly said, quote, I killed somebody. He then told investigators that the fight and subsequent murder happened after he got back from urgent care and him and his wife started arguing, quote, about money in the living room area on the top floor, end quote. And he punched her in the face because she pissed him off. So I'm just wondering here, there's no other way to deal with your anger? Remember I said he'd just come back from urgent care? Well, he'd gone because he was having problems sleeping and because his blood pressure was high. And this is how you decide to lower it? I mean, couldn't you have just walked away? You could have left the house, go for a drive, try to calm down. I mean, I'm just a true crime podcaster here, but I'm sure I could come up with at least 20 other options that you could have taken instead of punching your wife in the face. During the investigation, police found that the house had surveillance video. When they went through the recordings, they saw everything that happened. Quote, based on my review of the video available, Chow stabbed Angelina at least 107 times in the torso using both the knife that he was carrying when confronted by arresting officers and a separate meat cleaver style knife that he obtained from a kitchen drawer. Angelina held on to Chow in an attempt to keep him from going after her mother, and eventually they both fell to the ground. Once on the ground, Angelina continued to try and fight Chow off, and at times turned her back towards him, resulted in her getting stabbed in the back, end quote. Chow stabbed Angelina, quote, over and over again, at times taking a break for several moments, end quote, and going back to stabbing her. So he took a break. He was stabbing. And I mean, that takes a lot of work. As I hear, obviously I haven't done it. As I hear, it is really, really hard. If you try and stab a turkey, for instance, you feel like a raw turkey, you feel how hard it is for a knife to go through that. And somebody is just doing this to a live person who's fighting back. That's a lot of work. And he was determined to do this. So he stabbed her, took a break, stabbed her, took a break. Like, what the... what is going on here? There's also evidence that he went and changed his clothes during the attack. I'm going to read that again. He went and changed his clothes during the attack. Now listen to this bullshit. Quote, Chow said he was cold because he was covered in blood. Chow changed clothing and then elected a different knife from the drawer, and then he allegedly went back to stabbing Angelina. Like, what in all the F's did I just read? He was cold. He was cold. So he changed his clothes. I mean, dude, jackass, actually. If you were cold, then sit and die of frostbite. That's what you should have done. Oh my God. In a probable cause document, it was written, quote, Chow explained that he thought his wife would divorce him and take his money, even though, quote, she never said this to him, but he thought it to be true. So she's never said this to you. She's never given you any indication that she was going to do this, that she's this type of person. You just came up with this in your head and you started punching her in the face. Oh my God. The level of the piece of crap that this dude is, I can't even. Chow was booked on first-degree murder, and King County prosecutors sought a high bail because he travels back and forth between the U.S. and Vietnam, and that it, quote, appears that the defendant has significant financial resources. Although the defendant's criminal history is limited to a fishing violation from 2006, these facts demonstrate irrational and extreme violent tendencies sufficient to justify bail in the amount of $5 million. Chow was booked on August 7th and held on the $5 million bail. He then appeared in court on September 5th and had the freaking audacity to plead not guilty. Oh my God. I couldn't be a judge. I couldn't do it. He had the audacity. As I said before, this was Angelina's stepfather. He had actually been in a 19-year relationship with her mother before marrying her last year in 2022. Lambs, men and women, do not, I'm going to repeat this closer to the mic, do not stay in abusive relationships. Don't give me the excuse that it's for the kids. Don't give me the excuse that you love him. Don't give me the excuse that... Get out. Get help. Now, don't get me wrong. I know for some people it's hard to get out. So it's easy saying get out for some people. Then there's other people who can do it, who can literally just pack up and leave. And I've said before, if you or a loved one are a victim of domestic violence, contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. And you get confidential assistance over there from trained advocates, or you can go to thehotline.org. They are available 24/7, so no excuse, and they can help you in more than 170 different languages. Lamb, what did you think about this one? Oh my God. Oh my God. I need you to message in, whether you do an SOS or comment in the comments below. I need to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think about this? That's all I have for you in today's rant. I'll see you next week. Bye.